Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all the students of Europe Hotel School. I'm your guide for this part of your online learning journey, and today we're diving into a truly critical skill. I'm talking about the one thing that separates the good from the great in hotel management, mastering the art of lead qualification. Okay, let's start with a core truth, something every single successful hotelier understands deep down. Look, we're in an industry that's all about inquiries, right? So it's so tempting to chase down every single lead that comes your way. But here's the reality check. Not all business is good business. Chasing the wrong leads? It's not just a waste of time, it's a waste of money. The best teams out there, they know that being selective is way more powerful than just having a huge number of leads. So that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? How do you actually identify the right business? Because this isn't just about filling rooms and event spaces to hit a quota. No, it's about filling them with opportunities that perfectly match your hotel's financial goals and what your team can actually handle. And that's exactly what we're here to do, give you the framework to make that happen. All right, this leads us to our first big mindset shift. It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking more leads equals more success. But could it actually mean more problems? You bet it can. Imagine a pipeline just clogged with unqualified leads. It's a total drain on your resources, it burns out your team, and at the end of the day, you're left with unprofitable deals. The real goal here isn't just volume, it's all about strategic alignment. And this simple phrase right here really gets to the heart of it. The goal is not to be busy, it's to be profitable. Think about it. A really solid lead qualification process is the engine that makes sure your sales team is spending their precious time and energy on what actually matters. It's the difference between a team that's just busy and one that is strategically, truly productive and profitable. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we put it into practice? Well, it all starts with a clear, systematic checklist. This isn't about going with your gut feeling, It's about making smart, data-driven decisions right from that very first conversation. So let's break down the core things you absolutely have to look at. Think of these 5 steps as your non-negotiable first filter. For every single lead, you've got to ask these questions. 1. Is the event size a good fit for our space and what we can handle? 2. Are the dates open? And just as important, do those dates fall during a time when we really need the business? 3. Let's talk money. Is the client's budget even in the same ballpark as what they're asking for? 4. How fast are they looking to decide? Is this happening soon, or is it something that's going to drag out forever? And finally, number 5. When you put it all together, what's the real, honest-to-goodness chance this thing actually turns into a signed contract? All right, so let's say a lead makes it through that first checklist. Now it's time to take our thinking to the next level. See, it's not enough to just get excited about the big top-line revenue number. We have to go deeper, way deeper, to really understand the true financial impact an event will have on our hotel. And that brings us to a really critical concept called total contribution. This is a huge metric we focus on here at Europe Hotel School, and for good reason. It forces you to look right past the shiny, glamorous top-line revenue number. Total contribution is all about one thing: calculating the actual, real profit that lands on your bottom line after you've accounted for every single cost. So what kind of costs are we talking about? Well, pretty much everything. The extra staff you'll need, any AV equipment you have to rent, special deals or concessions on food and drinks, all of it. And here's a classic mistake. People forget about the opportunity cost. Using your main ballroom for one big event when you could have hosted 2 smaller, more profitable events in that same space. Every single one of these things chips away at your profit margin. Okay, let's make this crystal clear with a comparison. Take a look at event A. It's bringing in 100,000 euros in revenue. Looks great, right? But the operational costs are massive, leaving you with just 20,000 in actual profit. Now look over at event B. The revenue is lower, 75,000, but it's a much leaner, more efficient event. It delivers a total contribution of 55,000 euros. So I have to ask you, which event would you rather book? The answer is obvious, isn't it? But qualification isn't just a numbers game, not at all. The absolute best deals, the ones that are smooth and profitable, they're built on real partnerships. And that's where the human element comes in. It's every bit as important as the financials. You really have to learn how to read the client. Think about a client who has this super rigid budget, but at the same time has expectations that are through the roof. That situation can turn into an operational nightmare fast. They end up demanding way more from your team than the contract is even worth. But on the flip side, you have the ideal partner. They're open to discussion, they get that it's a two-way street, and they're willing to negotiate to find that sweet spot that works for everybody. And this really changes how we should think about qualification, doesn't it? The point isn't to be some kind of gatekeeper just looking for reasons to say no. No, the goal is to be an architect, someone who builds profitable partnerships. It's about strategically picking out the opportunities where everyone wins, both the client and the hotel. All right, for our final section, let's tie all of this together. Let's look at the really powerful long-term payoff you get when you make this kind of disciplined approach a core part of your hotel's sales culture. Think about what happens when you don't have a good qualification process. Honestly, it's just organized chaos. Your sales forecasts are basically guesswork, built more on hope than on actual probability. And your operations teams, they're always stretched to the limit, trying to make magic happen for business that's either unprofitable or just a bad fit to begin with. But when you put strong qualification in place, oh man, the whole picture just changes. Your sales pipeline suddenly becomes a reliable tool for predicting future revenue. Your teams are focused, they're energized because they're working on business that actually matters. You go from constantly putting out fires to a state of predictable, strategic growth. And these are the rewards for that discipline. First, your forecasting becomes incredibly accurate, which is just priceless for planning. You also protect your most important assets, your people and your property. Your sales team transforms into this high-performance engine, laser-focused on the deals with the biggest potential payoff. And it may be most importantly, every single deal you close is now perfectly in line with the hotel's biggest strategic goals. So, let's wrap up with this final thought. Everything we've talked about today, this isn't just theory. These are practical, real-world tools you can start using the minute this is over. As you go out and build your careers, believe me, this ability to strategically choose the right business will be one of the most valuable skills you have. So I want you to think about the very next inquiry that comes across your desk or your next client meeting. How are you going to apply this framework to make sure it's not just any business, but the right business?